Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with day 7 of our 12 days of Christmas. This video is all about our vintage Christmas. Guys, once again, I'd like to just introduce our hosts, Brenda with Rustic and Lace DIY, and Jackie with Crafting and Mimi's. So here I'm going to use my Eco Resin-crete, and this will actually turn out more like a plaster, like you would be doing pottery sculpting, like you're etched in stones, except it is very fragile. So I don't mind using it inside like I'm going to be doing in the box here. Now this, for every 100 grams of powder, you're going to need 30 grams of water. And you see, I just keep going back and forth here, just too much, too little. I do get that down to 30. And then now I need 100 of the powder. And once again, I'm going to go back and forth on this. It's going to be too much. It's going to be too little. It's going to be too much. And that's just part of the process. And I mean, very rarely do I ever get it right on the nose first time out of the gate. But the struggle is real today. I just had some interesting moments making this creation for y'all today, and it was one of those I really wanted to throw the towel in a few times. You see, I'm at 104. I take some out. It's 96. I add some back. And then I totally wiped out my scale, so I needed to start over, put my cup back on, reset it to 0 with the cup, and then go back in and then back up to 102. And let's say, oh, look, 100. Woo! So it's just back and forth. I tell you, it was something else. You do need to mix this. You do have a work time of 8 minutes. This will be fully cured in 20. And like I said, it's kind of like a plaster. So if like if you like done pottery and stuff like that, it's just beautiful the way it's just white and pure and beautiful. It's totally eco-friendly, and it is a wonderful product. But be careful what you're using it in because it can be fragile. So now the amazing resin that I had used in some earlier, the napkin rings, that one is another one that sits and cures within like 10 minutes. That one looks and feels just like plastic. So it depends on what kind of project you're going for, on what type of resin you want to use. Now, your normal resin, which takes like 24 hours to cure, that one is actually very clear. You can do very clear, and that is also a plastic feeling as well. Now, you won't have a lot of clear even if you're using like your clear gloss one on these molds, because they take on the shades that your molds are. So if your molds are flat, your surface is going to be flat. If your molds are shiny, then your surfaces are going to be shiny. So here I'm just taking them out, and you see I broke that candy piece off at the end there. So I'm just going to move that aside, and then I'm going to start popping out these presents. Now, because it poured over a little down on the deer you can see down there, I should have wiped it off first, and I didn't, and so that little leg broke, but I just glued it back together. I'm coming in now with some thin masking tape here, and I'm just going to tape around the edges on my gift box, and this is going to give me the edges that I need on the inside and the outside to keep this clean as I paint this box with a base coat. I went ahead, the piece that's in there is not glass, it is actually plastic, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't get a lot of paint on that as I was painting and getting a top coat laid on the wood and the board that's on here. Whew, my goodness, it's been one of them days. So I'm just trimming up around the edges, and we're going to get moving right on over to our pieces to get them cleaned up if there's any residue on the edges of these resin pieces. The nice thing about this type of Crete resin is it will, you can use a knife or a brayer to actually clean the edges. Here I'm just showing you the difference between the um, the resin Crete and then the Amazing resin, which is, they're both quick, but the one is a lot whiter and it looks plastic, where the other looks more like a carved stone. Now I'm just coming in with the Waverly chalk paint and plaster and giving it all one coat all around the inside and out of that. I have my metallic paints here, and I'm just going to start with an assortment and start painting up my little embellishments here. So I'm using my bronze and a little bit of gold, and I'm mixing those together. And that's going to be the color of my gingerbread girl and of my deer. I didn't want it to be quite so dark. I wanted it to be more of a gingerbread color instead of just being that dark bronze. So I'm just coming in with these. And the reason I went with metallic is because when I think about vintage ornaments, now guys, I'm 56. So, I mean, when I was a kid, 50 years ago, I was 6. All our ornaments were shiny and where there was tinsel everywhere, and it just, the brighter and the more flamboyant these ornaments were, my parents just loved them even more. And I hated tinsel. I absolutely hated it because my parents had, it was my dad. We had to lay that tinsel on the tree like 3 pieces at a time and lay it down each branch. And I was just like, why don't we just get a silver tree? But we got a live tree every year back in the day. I grew up in Hood River, Oregon, and we would go up to Mount Hood and get our Christmas tree every year with a $2 permit. Could you imagine that today, guys? It might be up there now. I'm in Tennessee, but guys, if it's still $2 for a permit to go cut your own tree, let me know. I don't know. I went ahead and just used a dryer sheet on the inside of my box here, and that's going to help with static cling. And I'm going to use these little tiny snowballs. I hate these things. I hate them. They are not nice to me. But I tell you, I was on the struggle bus today, and you can see here, I had taken some glue off and I had to reposition things, and the blooper is at the end of this video. So guys, if you want to see just the mess I made, and just all I could do was laugh at myself. So by the time I had got it put back on, I had snowballs stuck to the front, snowballs all over my desk, I was crafting in my jammies, snowballs in my jammies. I was, I was just covered. And I had to just step away. And then I'm like, oh, look, I did it. So I'm going to come in now and I'm going to paint this box, and I'm going to paint it red. So I'm going to come in with my apple barrel candy apple, and I'm going to paint this all red first with that candy apple red. This went on nicely because I had that base coat on there, and so that wood was not as dried out as it was to begin with. So I just came right on in here with the apple barrel candy apple red, and when I got that on there, I was not happy with it. It just, all of my embellishments were all done in that metallic. So I came back in, once I had this on there, I came back in with that metallic red and added that over the top of all of that box. And here we have another blooper. Let's hide this. That right there on that plastic is tape that I left on the inside. I was not taking this apart again, guys. I wasn't going to do it. So I'm like, I'm frosting this window. I'm just going to frost it. You know, there are no I don't want to say there are no mistakes in crafting, only happy accidents. So that's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to say this was a happy accident. I don't know. You guys are going to have to let me know. I was on the struggle bus for sure. But I kept going. I kept going and I was persistent. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done. I had a vision in my head and it kind of came out what I was thinking. I don't know. I just came back in with the rest of my embellishments and I am using my 3-in-1 by Beacons and some hot glue and I'm putting that down to hold those embellishments in place while that Beacons 3-in-1 dries. I tell you, I was like, okay, I'm on the home stretch here. And then the Beacons 3-in-1 didn't want to stick to that plastic. And then the hot glue, of course, didn't want to stick to that plastic. And it's like, okay, if I can just get it to sit there by itself until that Beacons actually sits up, we'll be good. And we were. I just had to be patient with it. And my patience were done by this point. I was just not having any more of it. And I'm like, okay, all right, have it your way. We'll do the Burger King way here. And I'm just going to let it do its thing. And see, I pulled it right back off, rubbed it back on down, put a little bit more glue on there, and just sit there and behave, please. Oh, so I will be showing you how this turned out here in just a moment. But before we get on to the final review, guys, thank you for putting up with my shenanigans today. Sabrina, you can have your shenanigans back.
All right, my friends. Have you ever had some of those projects that you just want to throw in the towel, just ball it all up and throw it in the garbage? This is what this was for me. Oh my gosh. Every time I turned around, I had another issue. I was just, but I think it turned out just fine. I think it turned out cute for a vintage Christmas. It's definitely a vintage Christmas. Now that poor little gingerbread girl. Oh, I need to work on her because she looks really, really sad. But kind of scary. Kind of a Halloweeny gingerbread girl. But I can just retouch her up and that'll be fine. I just had to put my tools down and step away and move past this project. Tell me what y'all think. I have those little tiny snowballs all over my craft room now. Oh, it's just, but if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, I do hope you will consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe button. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee linked in my description box below if you'd like to support my channel financially. Otherwise, just viewing, subscribing, liking, and commenting really does support my channel. I do thank you for the time you've given me today on this challenging project of mine. As always, guys, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.